Number 10. Limit Breaker.
One day, monsters appeared and wreaked havoc, plunging the world into chaos. Just as humanity was teetering on the edge of despair, a mysterious system activated, granting people the chance to awaken extraordinary abilities. Our protagonist was among those selected for an awakening test. He suddenly found himself in a strange, unfamiliar room with a monster waiting to attack him. His first instinct was to run, but escape was impossible. The monster easily caught and killed him. Yet instead of death, he regenerated, as if trapped in a game-like loop. After being killed repeatedly, he finally summoned the courage to fight back. With newfound resolve, he defeated the monster and completed the quest. However, instead of returning to Earth, an error message appeared, leaving him stranded in the room. Years passed, and during his isolation, he honed his strength and abilities to unimaginable levels. Finally, with sheer determination, he forced the room open and returned to Earth. But the question remains, after so much time and transformation, will he still recognize the world he left behind? Or himself?
Number 9. Steel-Eating Player.
The day the gates appeared, the world descended into chaos. Monsters poured through, wreaking havoc and leaving humanity on the brink of destruction. But with the gates came hope. Humanity gained abilities, granting them the power to fight back. Among the newly awakened was our protagonist, gifted with the power to control metal. Though initially labeled as an F-class ability user, he defied all odds, climbing the ranks to become the Steel Emperor, a legend in his own right. However, that was in the past. Now he has been regressed to the moment the gates first appeared, his memories intact. Armed with knowledge of the future and an understanding of how to unlock his true potential, he is determined to rewrite history. But his greatest challenge lies ahead. The catastrophic events that nearly destroyed humanity weren't caused by monsters but by players. Will he be able to change the course of fate and prevent the betrayal that looms on the horizon?
Number 8. Dungeons and Artifacts.
Our protagonist, an A-rank explorer, is renowned for his exceptional skills in navigating dungeons and detecting traps. Hired as a guide for an elite team, he flawlessly led them through perilous traps and challenges, guiding the group to the dungeon's core. After defeating the dungeon's formidable guardian, they finally reached a treasure room brimming with artifacts and untold riches. In recognition of his efforts, the team offered him the honor of being the first to touch an artifact, something he had never encountered before. Unaware of the dangers, he accepted. What he didn't know was that artifacts are often imbued with dangerous, negative energy and should never be handled recklessly. Deceived and unprepared, he met his end as the artifact's curse consumed him. But instead of staying dead, the artifact bound itself to him, reviving him in a strange, twisted fate. When he regained consciousness, he found himself wearing a mysterious ring, the artifact that had killed him. What power does this cursed item hold, and how will it change the course of his life?
Number 7. The Voodooist's Wrathful Return.
Our protagonist was one of the many players who dedicated their lives to Arcia Chronicle, a cutting-edge virtual reality game. Within its vast world, he forged alliances, honed his skills, and climbed the ranks until the day he was betrayed. Arthur, someone he once trusted, turned against him. Beaten and left for dead, he lay there, consumed by anger and despair, when a mysterious voice echoed in his mind. "Do you seek revenge?" Before he could fully comprehend what was happening, everything went dark. The next thing he knew, he had regressed. Sent back in time to the days before Arcia Chronicle's beta release. Armed with his knowledge of the future and the betrayal that awaits him, he now has a chance to change his fate. Will he use this second chance to rise above his past, or will he be consumed by his thirst for vengeance?
Number 6. The Max Level Returner.
On New Year's Day, every player of Eternal World mysteriously vanished without a trace. In their absence, monsters appeared, wreaking havoc across the world. Humanity's modern weapons were powerless against them until the missing players started returning. Each player had died in Eternal World and was sent back to Earth, now possessing newfound abilities. With their power, humanity found a way to fight back. But as more players returned, so did stronger and deadlier monsters, pushing the world into an escalating war. Among them is our protagonist, the only player who didn't die. Instead of falling in battle, he entertained the final boss, surviving until the very end. As a reward, the boss granted him a return to Earth, but with something far beyond what any other player had received. Now armed with knowledge of Eternal World's deepest secrets and an unknown power bestowed upon him, will he be able to change the course of humanity's fate, or has he simply become part of a greater game?
Number 5. Super Genius DNA.
Our protagonist, a brilliant research scientist at a major company, was suspended for a month after lashing out at his director, disgusted by the fact that his groundbreaking cancer cure was rejected. After serving his suspension, he returned to work, only to find himself reassigned, not to his former lab, but to a facility for outcasts, where failed projects and discarded research were left to rot. There he stumbled upon Rosalind, an artificial cell with unknown potential. In a moment of carelessness, he accidentally cut his finger, and the cell made contact with his blood. Shortly after, he collapsed. When he awoke, everything had changed. A mysterious system, one that only he could see, had appeared before him, resembling something straight out of a video game. But this wasn't a game. Rosalind had fused with him, granting him an AI unlike anything humanity had ever known. Now, with an advanced intelligence inside him, will he finally be able to achieve his dream? Or has he stepped into something far greater than he ever imagined?
Number 4. 99 Reinforced Wooden Stick.
Frustrated and exhausted, our protagonist ranted about how no one wanted to party with him. Desperate to survive, he decided to reinforce his equipment, hoping to get stronger. But one by one, every piece of gear shattered, until he was left with nothing. Just when he was about to give up, a random player handed him a simple beginner's weapon, a stick. In a fit of frustration, he reinforced it, expecting it to break like everything else. But to his surprise, it didn't. Curious, he kept reinforcing it. Plus 10, plus 20, plus 50, and still the stick remained unbroken. Soon it reached an absurd plus 99 reinforcement, glowing with immeasurable power. On a whim, he swung it, and in an instant, the ground split apart, creating a massive crack across the continent. Everything in its path, players, monsters, even the landscape, was obliterated. Now armed with the most overpowered weapon in the game, will he use his newfound power for good, or will he become the ultimate troll?
Number 3. The Advanced Player of the Tutorial Tower.
One day, monsters appeared, throwing the world into chaos. Alongside them, a mysterious tutorial tower emerged, randomly selecting individuals. Those who managed to defeat the final boss were granted the right to return to Earth, along with their awakened abilities. Our protagonist was among the first generation of selected individuals. However, unlike others who escaped after clearing the tower once, he was trapped inside for 12 years. Forced to clear the tutorial over and over again, he became unimaginably strong, mastering every challenge and even guiding newcomers through the trials. Yet no matter how many times he conquered the tower, an unknown curse prevented him from leaving. Until now. After 12 years, the curse was finally lifted, and he was able to return to Earth. But the world had moved on without him. Now, as one of the strongest awakened beings, how will he adjust to a life that left him behind?
Number 2. The Strongest Florist.
Our protagonist found hope in a virtual game called New World, a place where he could finally escape his father's influence and pursue his own dreams. Unlike others who sought power, glory, or riches, his goal was simple: to open a flower shop. In this vast world of adventure and conflict, will he be able to peacefully build his dream shop and live the life he always wanted? Or will he inevitably be swept up in the chaos of the game's ever-changing flow?
Lastly, number 1. Boundless Ascension.
One day, a dungeon break occurred, unleashing monsters upon the world. Countless lives were lost, including our protagonist's parents. From that moment, he swore to become a hunter and eradicate every last monster. For 7 years, he trained relentlessly. Yet no matter how hard he worked, his stats never improved. Eventually, his gym instructor, seeing no progress, dismissed him, claiming that his continued presence tarnished the gym's reputation. Still, he refused to give up. One last time, he pleaded for another chance, only to be denied once more. Just as despair threatened to consume him, something unexpected happened. The tower, an entity beyond human understanding, acknowledged his unwavering determination. Before he could process what was happening, he found himself in a mysterious space, greeted by a system message asking him to select a difficulty. Without hesitation, he chose hard, knowing that the greater the challenge, the greater the reward. Now, what fate awaits him, and what kind of power will he gain from his choice?